It's 3 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling, doing the math in your head. If rent goes up, or the car breaks down, or your boss cuts hours, the whole month collapses. Everyone tells you to just keep saving, but the truth is, there's a specific number that flips the game. Not a million, not even $500,000, it's just $100,000. And I'll show you the math, the psychology, and the exact steps to get there. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, human psychology, and why some people seem to glide through financial challenges while others are constantly stressed about their bank account balance. If you've ever wondered what it actually feels like to have different amounts of money saved up, and more importantly, how each milestone changes your decision-making process, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps clarify things for you. Think about it like fitness. The first 20 pounds you try to lose feel impossible. You're grinding, eating clean, and the scale barely moves, but once momentum kicks in, the progress compounds. Or think about school. Scraping from 49% to 50% is survival. It's the hardest step you'll ever take. But getting from 90% to 95%? That's easy in comparison. Money works the same way. The first big milestone flips the game. It's a line between survival mode and momentum. Below it, you feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. Cross it, and the slope finally tilts in your favor. Here's the catch. $100,000 isn't just a round number, it's a dividing line. Below it, you're the one carrying the load. Above it, compounding starts carrying you. The reason it feels impossible is simple. For the first 7 to 8 years, you're grinding, putting away $10,000 a year, and most of what you see in your account is just your sweat, not your returns. That's why people quit. But if you keep pushing, that first 100K is a ticket out of survival mode. Here's the part nobody warns you about. The hardest part of building wealth isn't math, it's psychology. We live in a dopamine world. Food shows up in 30 minutes. Entertainment starts in 3 seconds. Your phone gives you 50 hits of novelty before breakfast. Everything around you trains you to crave instant results. But wealth doesn't reward speed. The first $100,000 demands years of delayed gratification with almost nothing to show for it. And that's brutal on your brain. You check your account every week and it looks the same. You put away $500 and the balance barely moves. You skip dinners out, skip vacations, say no to friends, and all you see is a number crawling forward at a snail's pace. That's when doubt creeps in. Am I doing this wrong? Is this even worth it? Decision fatigue sets in. Stress hormones spike. You feel like you're sacrificing now for a future that isn't even guaranteed. But here's the truth. That mental wall is the price of entry. It's training. The ability to delay gratification, to sit with boredom, to keep going when nothing seems to be happening. That's the exact muscle that separates wealth builders from everyone else. Most people quit right before compounding starts to show its face. The ones who push through, they don't just build savings, they rewire how their brain handles money, risk, and discipline for life. Let's make this concrete. In the beginning, your savings rate does 95% of the work and compounding does maybe 5%. If you're putting away $1,000 a month and your investments are spitting out $50, it feels like a joke. That's why the early game isn't about chasing hot stocks, it's about brute forcing contributions. Your savings rate is the lever. Even an extra $200 a month can cut years off the grind to 100K. Here's where most people get blindsided. The first 100K might take close to 8 years if you're saving 10K a year at 7%. Brutal. But the second 100K, just over 5 years. The third, under 4. By the fourth, compounding is doing more of the lifting than you are. At 100K invested, a 7% return is about $7,000 a year. That's $583 a month that shows up without you working for it. That's a car payment or half your rent, covered by money you already own. That's when you stop feeling like you're climbing a mountain and start realizing the slope just tilted in your favor. Here's where most people stall out. They've heard the theory, they know compounding exists, but the voice in their head says, what about inflation? What if the market crashes? I can barely save anything right now. Let's break those down one by one. Objection 1, inflation. Yes, groceries cost more, rent creeps up, and your paycheck never seems to stretch as far. But here's the brutal truth. If you keep your savings in cash, you're guaranteeing a loss every year. At 3% inflation, $10,000 today shrinks to about $7,400 in 10 years. But invest that same $10,000 in a broad index fund at a conservative 7%, you're looking at nearly $20,000 in that same decade. Inflation hurts, but compounding outruns it. Objection 2, market crashes. People fear the red arrows more than anything. They say, what if I lose everything? But history tells a different story. If you dumped $10,000 into the S&P 500 at the worst possible moment right before the 2008 crash and never touched it again, you'd still be sitting on more than double your money today. The market punishes traders, not disciplined savers. Dollar cost averaging, investing the same amount every single month, turns crashes into discount events. Objection 3, I can't save enough. This one's the most dangerous because it sounds true in the moment. But zoom out, even $100 a month, less than a phone plan, grows to nearly $17,000 in 10 years at 7%. And that's without a raise, without side income, without optimization. The point isn't that $100 a month will make you rich, it's that doing something consistently always beats waiting until you think you can do everything perfectly. Here's the bottom line. The real danger isn't inflation or crashes or a small starting point. The real danger is quitting before compounding has time to show up. Most people obsess over cutting lattes, but the real power levers are bigger and simpler. First is income. There's a ceiling on how much you can cut, but no ceiling on how much you can earn. That means negotiating raises, switching jobs, or building side income. Second is expenses, housing, transportation, and food. If those three eat up more than half your take home, you're strangling your savings rate. Third is automation. Set up an automatic transfer the day your paycheck lands. Remove willpower from the equation, and suddenly saving doesn't feel like a choice, it just happens. Here's the shift no spreadsheet can capture. When your net worth hits 100K, you stop living in survival mode. You stop asking, how do I cover this bill? And start asking, what do I want to build next? That's a complete mental rewiring. Think about walking into work with $1,000 in your bank account versus $100,000. With $1,000, you bite your tongue when your boss yells because you need the paycheck. With $100,000, you breathe easier. That money is your cushion, your walk-away card. It doesn't mean you quit recklessly, but it means you have leverage. And leverage changes everything. Psychologists call it walking away money, the moment you know you're not trapped. Research even shows that people with savings report lower daily cortisol levels. Your body literally feels safer when you have a buffer. At $100K invested, compounding alone is throwing you roughly $7,000 a year. That's $583 every month arriving, whether you work or not. For some people, that's rent. For others, it's food and utilities covered. That cash flow means your survival isn't chained to every single paycheck. The result? Confidence. Decisions stop being reactive and start being strategic. You don't panic when the car breaks down, you write the check. You don't say yes to a job you hate just for a paycheck, you weigh your options. 100K doesn't make you rich, but it gives you something more valuable. Breathing room. Let's zoom out and look at two people over the next 10 years. On the left, the average saver. They set aside maybe 6% of their income, keep a balance on their credit cards, and let housing and car payments eat up half their take-home pay. They save $300 a month. After a decade, even with market growth, they're sitting on around $40,000. And most of that isn't compounding, it's just their own deposits, barely keeping up with inflation. On the right, the disciplined saver. They push their savings rate to 15 to 20%, automate their transfers, and keep lifestyle creep under control. They save $1,000 a month. After 10 years, that's not $40,000. It's closer to $160,000. Same economy, same market, same time. 4 times the outcome just by controlling habits. Now stretch that gap further. At 20 years, the average saver is barely breaking 6 figures, while the disciplined saver is pushing $500,000. One path keeps you stuck in survival mode for life. The other makes the first 100K inevitable, and every 100K after that faster and easier. At the end of the day, the first 100K isn't just a financial milestone, it's an identity shift. You're no longer the person who panics at every bill. You're the person who keeps money, who builds, who makes decisions from a place of strength instead of fear. Think about it. Every wealthy person you admire had to crawl through this same first stretch. They weren't handed compounding on a silver platter. They sweated for years, stacking dollar after dollar until momentum finally kicked in. That grind is what proves you're capable of wealth. Not luck, not timing, but discipline. And the freedom it buys isn't flashy. It's mornings without alarm clocks. It's being able to walk away from a toxic boss. It's choosing what matters instead of being trapped by what you owe. So here's your next step. Pick one lever and pull it today. Set up an automatic transfer, even $100 a month. Cancel one recurring expense that doesn't add value, or push your savings rate up by just 1%. Small, boring moves, but those are the exact bricks that build your 100K foundation. Because once you hit that threshold, your money starts working harder than you do sexually, and that's the moment you stop living in survival mode and start buying back your time. The sooner you cross that 100K line, the sooner everything changes.